Yo, where's all the fish at? What's up guys, I'm Mike and today we are talking about 5 things that you should have on your kayak that could save your life. Like this. What's up guys? Alright, so we know that things on the water can happen really fast, and so we've got to be prepared beforehand. Not only that, but you have to be prepared for the unexpected, which is why we're going over the 5 things that you should have on your kayak that can save your life. Some of these are very obvious, some of them you may not think about. So let's get started. Alright, number 5, it's common sense, it's a no-brainer, but I'm gonna go ahead and go over it anyway, get it out of the way, and that is a PFD. Personal Flotation Device. It is the #1 thing that will save your life on the water. And I'll tell you, I've seen 11 people who have died on the Gulf Coast in the last 2 to 3 months, and the one thing that all of them had in common was that none of them had a PFD on. It's crazy. I'm sure that there's more than that. That's just what shows up on my news feed and in the fishing groups and things that I'm in. And it's crazy because it is the absolute best option to save your life when you're out on the water. And I get it. They don't make you look cool. But who are you impressing out there anyway? You're fishing. And people also say that they're expensive, but I know you guys, like me, you guys spend thousands of dollars on your boats and your kayaks, and you don't want to spend 40, 50, 100 bucks on the one item that will save your life. Yeah, kind of a no-brainer. It's actually a value if you ask me. It's your life, and it will save your life. And lastly, people talk about how uncomfortable a PFD is, but you know what else is uncomfortable? And that's trying to stay afloat, fighting for your life when you're exhausted and you're tired and you don't have a PFD on. That's pretty uncomfortable too. And in actuality, they're really not that uncomfortable. Go try a few on. I have the auto-inflating PFD. It has like nothing on your back. I put it on. And to be honest, after about 10 minutes, I completely forget that this thing is even on. In fact, I have finished kayak fishing for the day and loaded up my entire truck, and I was driving home and then looked down and realized I still had my PFD on, and I've done that twice. Alright, number 4 is water. You gotta have plenty of water on your kayak, and if you're asking me how water can save your life, well then you've clearly never fished in South Texas before, because it is hot. It is extremely hot down here, and heat stroke and heat exhaustion and dehydration, that is a real issue down here. It happens. I just talked to a guy last week actually who passed out on his kayak from dehydration and heat exhaustion. And he finally woke up a few minutes later, and his kayak had been pushed up against the bank, and he had no clue what had happened, and it was because he didn't drink enough water. But now I know a lot of you guys bring your other drinks, your Gatorades and whatever. I personally have been known to drink some Mountain Dew. By the way, not sponsored. But I always have water on my kayak. No matter what, because when you get really hot and you start getting dehydrated in that heat exhaustion, water is the fastest way to fix all of that. Plus, if you keep it cold, it's so incredibly refreshing compared to other drinks. On top of that, if anything ever happens, because things happen quickly on a kayak or when you're on the water in general, if you get an injury or whatever, you can use water to clean that injury really quickly, because you definitely don't want to be using the salt water and anything else that's out there. It's just going to be nasty, and water is a quick and easy way to do that. Last year I got stabbed through the hand by a catfish, and I used water first to clean the wound and then used alcohol, and then I bandaged myself up. But it was just really nice to have good, clean, fresh water, because that salt water is really nasty. And with all of this talk about the flesh-eating bacteria in the water, you just don't want to do it. You want to clean fresh water, which actually brings us to our next topic, number 3. All right, number 3, have a first aid kit. These things are so incredibly small that you can kind of pack them in. You can put this in your pocket if you really wanted to. I always keep it inside my crate in the back of my kayak, but it's really, really nice to have in case something happens, because let's be honest, things happen. And they happen fast when you're on the water. And I've said that many times, but I've had to use a first aid kit multiple times on the water, and I won't go on the water without it. You need to have a first aid kit. You need to be able to clean wounds. Things happen. If you get bit by a shark or some kind of fish, or if you manage to hook yourself or get spined by a catfish like I've done, that first aid kit comes in really, really handy, and you're gonna want it, I promise. Alright, number 2 is communication devices like these. VHF radio and a cell phone. Now, if you're fishing lakes and ponds and inshore freshwater fishing, you really don't need a VHF radio because there's no Coast Guard, and calling 911 on your phone is going to be good enough because the game wardens and a lot of those larger lakes have police that patrol the lakes, and they can dispatch directly from the lake, and a phone is good. However, if you're fishing saltwater, if you're fishing offshore or even inshore, a portable VHF radio like this is a must-have. You really should have one of these if you're fishing saltwater, if you're fishing the coast. And the reason is a VHF radio is the fastest way to get help when you're on the water, inshore, in the saltwater. And I'll tell you why. This is much better than a cell phone. Because if you go over the distress channel or the emergency channel, which is channel 16, everybody that has a VHF radio will hear you. And they can help you immediately. A lot of times they are closer than Coast Guard, other boaters and other kayakers and things like that. They will be closer, and a lot of times they can help you beforehand. All right, let me tell you a story. Last year I was on my boat and I was fishing the jetties, and on channel 16 somebody came over the radio and said that they were taking on water, that their boat was sinking, and that they were at the end of the jetties. So I pulled up my anchor and I pulled up the lines and I ran over to the end of the jetties to see if I could help. And it was only about 2 minutes by the time I got there. When I got there, the boat was almost completely underwater, just the bow was sticking up. But there were 4 other boats that had also heard that distress call on the VHF radio, and they ran over there. They had already gotten everybody off the boats, everyone was safe, everyone lived. And a few minutes later, the Coast Guard pulled up, and they actually tied off to the boat and ended up saving the boat as well. So this absolutely saved their lives that day. It was extremely quick. Now, if you had a phone and you called 911, well, what's going to happen is those people are going to call the Coast Guard after that, and then the Coast Guard is going to dispatch and try to figure out exactly where you are. On this, you can talk back and forth, and very helpful, very quick. Plus, everybody around that is also on this can hear, and they can help you out way before the Coast Guard or the game wardens or anybody else can get there. It's a must-have if you're fishing saltwater. Now, if you don't have a VHF radio and you are fishing saltwater, I highly recommend that rather than you calling 911, that you put into your phone the Coast Guard number, the game warden's number, any emergency numbers for your area. That way, if anything happens, you can call them immediately, stay on the line with them, and they can figure out your location and get to you much quicker than if you were calling the police and then they're calling 911, and the 911 has to then call someone else. When time is so incredibly important, you want people to get there fast, and you don't want to waste any time. 2 minutes is too long a lot of the time, and it just takes longer to use your phone than it does to use a VHF radio. Alright, number 1 is signaling devices like this whistle. People on the water, they don't pay attention. I've seen plenty of videos of boats running over other boats and over kayakers and all kinds of stuff because they don't really pay attention to what they're doing. So a whistle will help you kind of get their attention if need be. But I'll tell you what works even better. Boom, air horn. They're going to hear this, I guarantee it. So It's really, really nice. This is what I keep on my Kayak. I keep a whistle on there as well. These are really good also, beyond just getting the attention of some idiot that isn't paying attention, just to signal people. If you ever need help, or if you're out there and you see somebody else, this is a good way to get somebody's attention, using a whistle, using an air horn. They're signaling devices. That's what they're there for. In Texas, you have to have this on your Kayak, but regardless of where you're from, you should have some type of signaling device on your Kayak. Keep it on you at all times. It just makes it easy. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that it helped you out. If you liked the video, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment below, and if you want to be notified when I drop new videos, hit that bell notification. Thank you all so much for watching. I absolutely appreciate every one of you. Over and out.